Different Dimension Podcast, episode 3. And last time we talked, episode 1, Genesys had just came out. It's been about a month now. I've been doing a lot of Genesys testing. I just dropped my Dragon Ruler deck profile a little bit ago, or yesterday actually. I like Genesys format, but the meta, I don't know what the meta is, but the meta definitely has Vanquished Soul in it somewhere. Drew on TikTok said Genesys is so base. It is. I was skeptical, and I wasn't even gonna look at Genesys format. I stopped playing the game after reading Masterpiece, but I did try again with Salamangreat. I've been tapped in with what's going on. And I've done more deck building than I've done in the last 10 years in the last month. So I think the state of Genesys right now, Vanquished Soul is in there somewhere. I did see a comment that Odeon was one of the other decks, and I can't find it. It's on TikTok somewhere. So, but Vanquished Soul is one of the top decks. And I told y'all that the games that I saw, they were all Vanquished Soul. I saw some Fire King, but I had a feeling Fire King would phase out. I told y'all Vanquished Soul is one of them ones. And it is. Genesys format Vanquished Soul cannot be denied in the way Genesys is right now. Can't be denied. That's what I'm saying. I've seen Odeon for sure, and I've seen Vanquished Soul for sure. And that's just how it looks right now. So we did talk about there being a meta. The meta is being established now after about a month. But the meta is being established. And now that the meta is being established, what does that mean for I guess you would call it the second ban list, where they changed the point system? Now that the meta is being defined, do you go for the engines of these decks? Do you put a point system on cards within the engine? No. What do you do? Because if you go for the engine, the people will use other things, either use other things to make the deck better, or completely change it and go to something else. And then they go to something else, and then that deck becomes the meta. So I'm curious to see what Konami is gonna do now that there's a meta. You know, the options are go for the engine parts of the deck, but you can also just leave certain things the way they are. Go for certain engines, not the entire meta. You can just let the point systems rock out and see if these things are real. Because we also have to keep this in mind. The whole thing, Genesys format, is a completely new thing. It's completely new. It's only been around for a month, and the meta is already being defined to a top 3 to 5 Whereas if there's 5 decks of diversity, that's more than a triangle format, cool. 5 decks of diversity, that's cool. Even if the number of top decks is going to be 7, 10 even, cool. That part hasn't been defined yet because this format is new and there's only been one event. So there's many directions in which Genesys format can go now that things are being established. And it's good that things are being established because that's when changes are made. That's when we get more data on what they're going, well, I see it as data, but that's how we get more data on how it's gonna go from where it's at now. So Vanquished Soul is up there, Odeon is up there. I'm playing Dragon Ruler personally. I tested against Vanquished Soul, but I literally can't even call it testing because I drew so garbage. My hand was double 7 stars and my hand was trash. So I don't even want to call that testing. But I like where Dragon Ruler is. I haven't tested against Odeon yet. So Punk I've seen, Exo Sister, yeah. I think Drytron is really underrated, as well as Regenesis and Voiceless Voice. Okay, so actually, one of my homies that I've known, we grew up together playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much. He's playing Regenesis right now. So I watch his games whenever I get a chance to kind of learn what Regenesis does. Because I don't know what it does. And since this format is new, hey, appreciate y'all hitting the like button, yo. Appreciate y'all hitting the like button over here on TikTok. This is the 3rd episode of the Different Dimension podcast.